Charlie Tango 1 Echo Delta Alpha. Good afternoon. Thank you for the call. Name Vlad. I spell Victor Lima Alpha Delta QTH South Russia. How copy over?
The HRD-747 or HanRongDa. Today I would like to review another small pocket-sized wide-frequency multimode receiver from China. It's the cheap receiver I bought from the Aliexpress for about 75 euros with shipping to Slovakia. First portion of this video will be about the features, settings, and what by me is positive thing and what is the negative thing of this radio. So let's get started. Alright, so what is important to say, it is the back side of this little box where you can find the bands, their frequency ranges, and available modulations. And the small cardboard box contains the receiver, some protective plastic, a manual. It's in English. We have a hanging rope included inside. This is an in-ear earphones, the USB-C charging cable, and this a gray protective pouch made of the fabric. I have to say that I like the design of this small receiver, and the size is just fine to hold it in my palm and control the buttons with one hand. And its weight is only 108 grams. The surface of the receiver is smooth and shiny, but sometimes I have the impression that it is slipped in the hand. I appreciated how much the manufacturer used the screen space for an icons, but firstly, let me peel the screen protector. If you short press the power button, it will appear the time and the temperature, the battery status, and the seconds. If you push it twice, this power button, the radio will turn on and is ready to work. As you can see, that display is backlighted with orange color, and here you can see the features and modes the receiver is working right now. So here is the modulation, SSB. Here is the bandwidth, only for AM and FM. This is the attenuator, currently set to normal. And here is the volume. And here under the volume you can see the squelch, and in this moment it's off. It works only on AM and FM modulation. So operating of this radio is very simple. If you would like to change any feature or any mode here, you just need to use the set button. Short press the set button, you see that this feature is blinking here, and if you push this button more times, you will see rotation between those all modes. And if you would like to select one of them and to change the value or the mode, just select the feature you want and press the mode. And you can see that by pressing the mode, the value is changing. This is the bandwidth, but it doesn't work in SSB. And if you go to set and push, for example, the attenuator, again with the mode button, you can select attenuation on this receiver. Again, by pressing the set, we came to the modulation, adjustment or selection. Oh, I was slow. And when the SSB is blinking, just use the mode. You're now on the LSB. This is the AM, and again SSB. In this case, the SSB means that it is upper sideband or USB. So that's the system, how it works. It's very simple, just using the set button, and with the mode button you change the values. The bands are selecting by the short press of the band button here, and if you would like to move within the band, selected band, you have to use the mode band. So let me show you. If I use, for example, the air band right now, and I can use the mode, and you can see that I am moving within the band of the air broadcasting. So there we have a CB band, VHF. With the mode button you can go to the other portion, also the UHF. Then we have a UBD. I'm not actually using this kind because this is something like customized VHF UHF band. It is not my interest. Then we have the WX, and this is mostly used in the United States, not in Europe. And the FM broadcast station. Then we have the middle wave AM broadcast station, and we are back on the short waves. So now when we are in the short waves, you can also use the mode button, and you can move within the band. One of my most used and very practical feature is the memory button here, where I stored my favorite frequencies on each ham band, and now I'm able to very quickly change the bands just by using this two tune button up and down. So let me show you. So when I am in the shortwave, I go to the memo, and you can see that I can switch with the tune buttons. I can switch the pre-selected frequencies I stored into the memory. So here I have an 80 meter band, 40 meter band, 20 meter band, 17 meter, 15, 12, CB radio, and 10 meter band. This is all within the short waves. So this is the system how I use with this receiver to quickly go to the band and then tune the radio. So if you go to some of the band you want, you have to push again the memo, and now you can tune your receiver. And if you go back to memo, you can select the bands again. That's how it works. And now let me explain how to store the frequency into the memory. With the band button and the mode button, find the nearest frequency you want to store into the memory. So I go to the air band, like here, and I can use the mode button to find the nearest frequency I want. So for example here, and now short press the memo button, appear the P and the dashes. So again, short press and long press, you see the channel 1, and again short press, you see the stored 001. In this moment, you can see here that is stored into the channel 1, this frequency. If you would like to delete this frequency from the memory, you have to go back to the memo and long press the step button. You see the delete and again delete. And here, by long pressing of the lock button, you can see that the keyboard is locked and the keys doesn't work. Long press of this key, the radio is back on. Short press of the lock, you can see that radio turned to mute, and here the volume is 0 and is blinking, which means that the radio doesn't make any sound. Short press the lock, we're back on voice, and you can see that it's 19. And short pressing the volume button plus and minus, we can add more volume from 0 up to 40 points. Yeah, it's very, very loud for such a small speaker. Step selection is easy, but also a bit weird. Radio has two different tuning steps. One is tuning step with the tune buttons up and down, and the second is with, how they call it, a shuttle pulley selector, or I will call it a rotary knob. Okay, by one or multiple short of the step button, you will choose the tuning step on the tune buttons up and down, like here. It's the 5 kilohertz, 1 kilohertz, 100 hertz, 20 hertz, and 10 hertz. And it rotates. This means that if you select 5 kilohertz and then you can use this tune buttons, you can see that the frequency changes by 2 kilohertz. But it doesn't mean that the rotary knob here on the side will tune the same. As you can see, it is not true. So if you want to use this tuning knob, you have to slightly or a bit rotate with this rotary knob and go to the step. And now I don't know if you see, there is a small triangular icon blinking, and by all pressing it's changing its position. So this way you can select the tuning step. So if I go to megahertz, like here, I can tune by the megahertz. Okay, and if I go with tuning step to 1 kilohertz, I will tune with 1 kilohertz. Yeah, it is very handy, especially on the larger bands like VHF or UHF, and you can go fast within the megahertz. So yeah, it's simple, but it's kind of weird. And here in the right side of the corner you can see 2 meters. The meter on the left side is the signal to noise ratio meter, and here on the right side it's the signal strength meter, and both numbers or values are in dBs or in decibels. Higher the number, which means the better readability of the signal, and the lower background noise. Right side, higher the number, which means a stronger signal, and of course a better readability. Here on the right side you can see the battery indicator and 3 bars inside, which indicates a battery voltage level. This icon is blinking while this receiver is connected to the charger. Well, and finally here you can see the table with all positive and negative things I found on this receiver while I was playing with it for about 2 weeks. Firstly, I will mention the positive things what I found. On whole shortwave frequencies is SSB modulation available. That's great. Continual frequency tuning is available also on VHF and UHF bands up to 520 MHz. On FM and AM modulations is the squelch available finally, and that is the same on the CB band. And the CB band is also with FM and AM modulation, by the way. This receiver is a wideband receiver, which means that the middle wave, short wave, CB band, FM broadcast, air band, VHF band, UHF band is included. Steps on the short waves you can set to 10 Hz, 20 Hz, 100 Hz, 1 kHz, 5 kHz. On VHF and UHF you can set 1 kHz, 5 kHz, 7.5, 12.5, 25 kHz. And adjustable bandwidth or the filter bandwidth, yeah, it is adjustable, but just on the AM and FM only, no SSB. Adjustable attenuator has three steps or three levels. DX is the best sensitivity, normal, and then a local, which means that the attenuation is the best on the local. This receiver has a socket for 3.5 millimeter jack for an external antenna, and also for the second one for the headphones. The display is orange backlighted, so it looks really good also in the night time. And a very important thing is that this receiver has 1000 milliamp hour battery, 3.7 volts, is rechargeable and is removable, and the type of this battery is BL5C. Very low power consumption, and you are able to listen hours and hours of reception. It's very simple settings, charging with included USB-C cable, very lightweight, 108 grams only, and small dimensions, 10 centimeters high and 6 centimeters wide. It has a built-in thermometer, included in-ear earphones, and included protective pouch and arm hanging rope. The negative things I found on this receiver is that the short, annoying muting while tuning. Yeah, I don't like this thing, but I see that many of the cheap receivers have the same issue. While tuning, there is this annoying muting, short muting between the kilohertz. Slow AGC or automatic gain control that causes a kind of noise or something, and especially if you receive strong stations. Yeah, that's kind of annoying. Yeah, the VFO frequency is shifted. It is not right on the frequency, and especially on 20 meters. I was listening many stations, and also myself on this receiver, and definitely the VFO is not set right to the frequency. Maybe I have to open this radio and check kind of a trimmer or something to set correct frequency. All right, then confusing fine tuning on SSB modes. Yeah, this was a big problem when I was on the lower sideband on a 40-meter band in when I was listening some stations. It was really big challenge to find and to tune the stations, to tune the station to the right frequency. I don't know why the fine tuning works different than any other transceivers and so on. So I need to learn how to tune these stations on this receiver. It has no adjustable bandwidth in SSB mode. I mentioned it before. It is available only for AM and for FM. Attenuation, there is no visible difference between normal DX modes. I don't know, but I didn't hear any difference in the signal strength. Okay, a few times I met with the spurious AM signals or birdies on the shortwave ham bands in SSB modulation. It was, I think, on 20 meters and higher bands. I was outside and was listening, maybe good propagations, and big stations was on front of the receiver. So that means that this receiver maybe it doesn't have good quality input filters, or maybe it's the price for the wideband receiver ability. Long waves and 160 meter ham band are missing. Yeah, that is true. I don't know why, but long waves, 160 meter ham band, there is not in this receiver. Yeah, strange step selection. Yeah, you have seen how much is it difficult to set the step on the buttons or on the knob on the side. This receiver has not a really ideal speaker sound quality. Yeah, the speaker is very tiny, and of course that means that the quality can't be good as maybe we want to have. An external antenna is not included in the package. Yeah, that's maybe the issue of the low price receivers. Okay, so that was my opinion about this receiver. Sometimes happened to me that the radio has turned on accidentally due to the power button, which is located here on the front side of the receiver. As you can see that this button is slightly off the front panel, so it is very easy to push, especially when you carry this receiver in your pocket or in your hand. So just make sure you have locked the keyboard with this button. Otherwise, the battery may drain very quickly. So now let's look closer on the practical side of this receiver, a field test.